And God said,
"Let there be shooters."
Aw, hell yeah! This game is still the shit! Oh, hey there. Thanks for tuning in. Yeah, you may know that I'm a huge fan of shooters, so I decided I was going to start a new series where I cover 3 random shooters. They could be from any platform, from the NES to current gen ones. Notice how I call them shooters. They were called shooters back in 1990. I still call them shooters. I'm old school like that. So hey, let's go ahead and dive right into it. Let's check out the first game.
1985 was a damn good year. Investigative journalist Irwin R. Fletcher was unraveling mysteries and exposing a corrupt LA police force on the big screen.
Hey, you and Tommy Lasorda. Yeah. I hate Tommy Lasorda.
The Garbage Pail Kids were disgusting parents around the US with their hilarious over-the-top satirical jeers at society. And the Dead Kennedys were doing the same by poking fun at MTV, jocks, and rednecks with their brilliant Frankenchrist album. And Gradius was released in arcades all across Japan. Gradius is the first game in a series of space shooters in which the spaceship Vic Viper fends off against fleets of evil aliens, created by a then still relatively new video game developer Konami. The success of the arcade game quickly resulted in a port for the Nintendo Famicom, and then its American cousin, the Nintendo Entertainment System, in 1986. The cover art for the westernized version boasts of over 1 million copies sold in Japan. Hey, 1 million Japanese can't be wrong. Gradius is a side-scrolling shooter that introduced some groundbreaking elements into the shoot-'em-up genre. It employs a unique power-up system that the series has since adopted in each subsequent release. You collect red orbs which highlight a specific power-up on the menu at the bottom of the screen. The first power-up is speed, which, you guessed it, allows you to maneuver the Vic Viper at a quicker rate. Collecting additional orbs will cycle through the menu, and once the desired power-up is highlighted, you select it, and then the process starts over. In addition to speed, you can also select Missile, which fires missiles to the ground in addition to your standard shot, Double, which fires bullets diagonally as well as straight ahead, Laser, which is the most powerful weapon in the game, Option, which awards you with a floating orb that mimics your motions along with firing additional rounds. You can collect 2 of these. And the question mark, which emblazons you with a protective shield. Now, like I mentioned before, every Gradius game has since used this menu mechanic, with later editions evolving and changing things up, with some games even allowing you to customize your own menu. But I digress. We're talking about the original Gradius on the NES here. Gradius has some of video games' most memorable themes and colorful enemies which make recurring roles within the franchise. The Moai heads have been a long-running staple of the Gradius series and is instantly recognizable, along with the recurring core boss, which must be defeated at the end of every stage. Well, that is until the later levels. Like all of the games within the franchise, Gradius is challenging. The enjoyment of the game is at its peak when the Vic Viper is fully powered up to your liking, but crashing into an object or meeting your demise in a number of other fashions will restart you from a checkpoint weak as a malnourished kitten. For a lot of gamers, this is where the fun ends, especially during the more difficult stages where you're forced to restart with minimal defenses and a ridiculously slow ship.
I'm handyman. I defend and protect the physically challenged.
Which at times can't even outfly some of the more difficult aliens' projectiles. Of course, like with most shooters, practice makes perfect, and once you're completely powered up, a routine strategy is to camp on the shield portion of the power-up menu and regenerate the shield as soon as you lose it. Gradius is by far one of the best early shooters in all of gaming, and countless others have been influenced by and have borrowed elements from it. The game is fairly inexpensive and is also available on the Wii Virtual Console. So if you dig shooters and have yet to play this one, I highly recommend that you pick it up and experience the origin of this magical shoot 'em up series. So what do you get when you cross Gradius with anime while dropping acid?
Gokujou Parodius!
Fantastic Parodius: Pursue the Glory of the Past is the third installment in Konami's Parodius series, and is sometimes also known as Fantastic Journey. Now, Parodius is exactly what it sounds like, a parody of the Gradius series. If you'd like a closer look to this wacky as hell franchise, I suggest you check out the series review by Dubious Gaming Online. I'll drop a link to the video in the description below. So this game was released for the Super Famicom back in 1994, several months after the arcade version surfaced in Japan. In this game, you have the choice of selecting several colorful characters from Konami's extensive library as your vehicle of choice. Most of these characters, such as Kid Dracula, hail from several Konami series that for the most part never found their way over here to the States. You have a wide variety to select from, such as Goemon from the Mystical Ninja series, or the infamous Vic Viper from the very franchise that's being parodied, amongst others. Now, just like with the Gradius series, you begin each stage with an intro portion, allowing you to add some power-up attributes to your ship so that you don't begin the stage with just your dick in your hand. The red orbs and power-up menu are all here, with each individual character having their own specific power-ups. The first stage tosses you into an oversized novelty claw machine with the sugary remix of a well-known American swing number, and definitely brings to mind the term "cute 'em up" here. The baddies are also damn cute and adorable. I just want to squishy wishy them all. Little birds and penguins adorn the colorful stage, while several claws carry and then drop Konami banners and a variety of wacky Japanese toys. How the hell did these claws grab anything in the first place? I'm not sure if I've ever seen one of these claws pick up an item in my entire life, but hey, you fight a panda bear in a tutu, so who the hell am I to question this game? Just like Gradius, this shooter can be quite a challenge, but you can adjust the difficulty and choose the option to respawn, as opposed from restarting at certain checkpoints when you lose a life. It will definitely lighten the burden. You have to wonder what the developers were on when they created this game. Without a doubt, the Japanese have a colorful imagination, and if you don't already appreciate it, playing this game will reel you in. Pirate catcrafts with kitten doppelgangers aren't abnormal in this game, and neither are giant mermaids. And let's not forget the goofy-ass characters that you can select from, such as Koitsu, a stick figure that rides on a paper airplane, or one of my personal favorites, Michael, an angelic pig with wings and a halo, a holier-than-thou sow, a heavenly hog, divine swine. Okay, I'm done now. Not only does this game borrow characters from other Konami franchises, but they also bring in the bell juggling from the Twin Bee series. Us Gaijin will be more familiar with the Americanized version for the NES, Stinger, and as far as I know, is the only Twin Bee game to ever reach the Western Hemisphere. Shooting these bells and juggling them through the air will change the colors of the bells, and each color provides a different power-up, such as invincibility or other wacky attributes. It's goofy as shit. I definitely recommend this game for shooter fans, and especially fans of the Gradius series. With crazy, wacky bosses and over-the-top cutesy enemies and settings, Fantastic Parodius is a fun ride, and the cartridge isn't too expensive. Definitely check this one out.
Oh man, was that a hell of a trip. Anyway, I'm a huge Final Fantasy fan, So back in '98, when I went to my local game store, Game Force, and saw that Squaresoft had a shooter game, I didn't waste any time. I picked it up right away, and boy was I not disappointed. Let's take a look at Einhänder.
There was a time in the era of great chaos when the Earth and the Moon were at war with each other. A daredevil from the moon piloted a bizarre aircraft. It was feared, and because of its shape, called Einhänder.
Einhänder is German for one-handed, in reference to a type of sword that is wielded with one hand, and in the case of this game, the single manipulator arm that is equipped by the spacecraft you maneuver. I'm not going to get into the plot too much with this one, seeing as it is a shooter, and since this is a Squaresoft game, there's definitely an intricate plot here, but the basic gist of it is that in a dystopian future, there's an ongoing war between colonies on Earth and the Moon. In this particular tale, the Moon Men are the good guys and attack the Earth's capital city, which is where the game begins on stage 1. Within the capital, the Earth colony dispatches its cybernetic police force against the Einhänder in a beautiful yet bleak-looking futuristic city which has an uncanny resemblance to the busy dark-lit city from the film Blade Runner. Graphics are in a 2.5D fashion, and its polygonal style can take some getting used to before you're able to discern what you can kill, and by the same token, what can kill you. Now before popping Einhänder in again for this review, I hadn't played the game in quite a while, maybe 10 years or so. Now once, a long time ago, the graphics were nothing short of phenomenal, but seeing it again for the first time in ages, the thought that came to mind was, boy, does this game look pixelated. The graphics look kind of blurry and frankly, pretty outdated. Father Time was not too kind to this one. But soon after I began playing and once again became engrossed in this fantastic shooter, it dawned on me that back in the day, the visuals were exceptional, and damn it, they still are. It does take a few plays to get used to it, but once you do, it becomes fairly obvious that this game is truly a work of art. The atmosphere sucks you in with every unconventional viewpoint turn, and the voices overheard in the background booming from loudspeakers envelops you into an oppressive police state environment. Reminiscent of numerous totalitarian narratives, such as Orwell's 1984 and even Fear Factory's 1998 concept album Obsolete. When you begin the game, you have the choice of 3 different spacecrafts, each with their own significant attributes. I've always used the default Einhänder, which has the ability to carry 3 gun pods, which are the special weapons that you collect throughout the game. You can also select between several of these special weapons as your default gun pod to be used at the onset of each life. These gun pods all have limited ammo, but you are also equipped with a default machine gun which has unlimited bullets. The numerous enemies throughout the game carry gun pods, which can be collected once the core unit of an enemy has been destroyed, disabling any offensive measures that can be used against the Einhänder. This is your opportunity to use your manipulator arm, in which your spacecraft is named after. Pressing the sub-weapon button near the falling gun pod, or simply touching it, equips the weapon to your spacecraft and can be used immediately. Depending on which Einhänder you've selected, you can carry several of these gun pods and switch between them on the fly. Now, not only can you change up these weapons, but you can also adjust their positions either by carrying them above or below your craft, which then has a different effect for each weapon, such as the Wasp firing homing missiles in the upright position, or the Spreader firing shots behind the Einhänder, as opposed to the front in the descended position. These gun pods also shield you from bullets and other various enemy onslaughts, but at the same time are also susceptible to attacks and are not impervious to damage and can be destroyed. Like I mentioned before, each gun pod has limited ammo, with a small counter in front of the pod indicating how much firepower is left. Once all of the ammo has been exhausted, the gun pod is simply discarded. Switching gun pods and their positions is an integral part of the game, and mastering this mechanic is impertinent in order to have success. Oftentimes, in the heat of battle, surrounded by enemy forces and bullets, you'll have to cycle to the best weapon that fits the occasion, and selecting the wrong combination of weapon and position on the fly is not uncommon. This is one of the factors in which makes this game so unique and challenging. The game simply does not fuck around, and unlike current gen games, does not hold your one hand. Trial and error, baby. Trial and error. Each stage has at least one boss, with several of the levels having multiple ones. And these aren't mini bosses either, as each one is unique unto itself and requires learning its pattern and which weapons are best to utilize in destroying each craft. Sometimes the difference between life and death is solely based on which weapon you currently have, and the weapons you obtain from foes are purely random. Such as this boss here from stage 4, which can be a handful unless you blast the shit out of it with the wasp. See what a difference that makes? The bosses are often intimidating and can be quick and tricky. Depending on how quickly you damage each one can also alter its pattern, which in turn can totally throw you off. But at least the boss music is freaking sweet. Ah yes, the music. What is a Squaresoft game without exceptional music? Shit, I don't know if one even exists. The soundtrack for Einhänder is simply one of the best on the PlayStation, and for a shooter. Period. And really, what is a shooter without an extraordinary score? If a shooter doesn't have an outstanding soundtrack, then it simply isn't an elite game. It's that important. With tracks expelling desolate ambience to complement a ravaged wasteland, to progressive house during heart-pumping boss battles, and even cinematic opera renditions, these ingenious tracks beautifully mirror the game's derelict environment. And this combination is by far one of the most attractive amalgams in the history of the shoot-'em-up genre. You have to see it for yourself. It is simply astonishing. And of course, Einhänder is tough as nails. You begin the battle with 10 continues, and believe me, you'll need every last one of them. When you lose a life, you have to restart from a checkpoint with only your machine gun and default gun pod equipped. The game is simply unforgiving at times, and until you master a certain part or memorize it, you can expect to try, and try again. The game even has an intricate scoring system, which is mainly for die-hard masochistic shooter enthusiasts. More or less something to worry about once you've mastered the game. So in all, Einhänder is a goddamn masterpiece. If you were under the impression that Squaresoft is a one-trick RPG pony, then you're dead wrong. Not only did they knock this one out of the park on their first shoot-'em-up go-round, but they arguably made the finest shooter on the PlayStation. Though I still lean towards Thunder Force 5, but hey, I am a Thunder Force fanboy after all. Now for the bad news. Einhänder is pretty damn expensive, and for reasons unknowns to me, has never been released for the PlayStation Network here in the States. That's just criminal. You'd think with just about every Final Fantasy game, along with the Chrono Trigger series available on the PSN, Squaresoft and Sony would also make this game readily available for rabid fans, but no! Yeah, I get it that shooters like RPGs are much more popular in Japan, but for the price the physical copy demands these days, you'd think it'd be common sense to release this for download for $10. Come on! Sounds like easy money to me. But what the hell do I know? I'm not a corporate suit working behind a giant mahogany desk and making big money decisions. Is it worth the price that it's fetching on eBay? It depends. How big of a shooter fan are you? If you go completely gaga for this genre, then yes, it probably is. If Musha can command such an outrageous price, then surely Einhänder can too. Regardless, the game is fantastic, and if you go all out and purchase this one, I really doubt that you'll be disappointed. Squaresoft went King Midas on this one, and make no bones about it, Einhänder lives up to all of the hype it garners.
Alright, so there you go. Those are 3 great shooters that I recommend everybody check out. They are fantastic, a lot of fun, and take a lot of skill. So I really hope you like this series. This is the first episode. I'm definitely going to be making more because I have a freaking ton of shooters to cover. So if you have any suggestions, any shooters that you'd like to see me cover, go ahead and leave them in the comments below. You can also follow me on Twitter, where I'm going to occasionally run some polls to see which games people would like me to cover, just to get a good idea of what people want to see. Now, I'm not just going to cover great shooters. I will cover the mediocre and a couple of stinkers as well. So anything is on the table. Now, I'd like to give an extra shout out here to Lunar Caustic for helping me out and creating my shooter's logo, and also for providing the music that you hear right now. I'll go ahead and leave a link to his channel if you want to check out some of his music. So thanks a lot, man. Anyway, thanks a ton for watching. If you liked the video, go ahead, click that like button. If you want to see some more stuff, you want to stay tuned for more of my shooter episodes, then I recommend that you hit the subscribe button. So until next time, catch you guys later. Oh no!